What is up everyone, Barricade here and bringing guys a Gears 5 tech test discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about the good aspects of the game and what I really enjoyed about it. In the last video I kind of went on a big tangent there and talking about how the game was actually physically hurting my head due to the flashbangs. And if you guys want to see that video, it's literally the last video I'll upload it, so you guys can see it as a link at the end of the video in my outro, or you can just look up in my channel to see the bad aspects of the Gears 5 tech test that I talked about. But for today, it's going to be a little bit more positive on this video, and we're going to be talking about the good things about the Gears 5 tech test. And actually, while discussing the good, I would like to do a direct comparison and talk about the difference between what I felt between this game and Gears 4. So the very first thing I want to talk about that I thought was a huge positive for the game was general movement for the game. And when I say general movement, I'm talking about running, taking cover, wall bouncing, and everything of that nature. So first off, when it comes to running, just general running, while holding the A button, when you have a weapon or just whichever, I felt like the movement was very smooth. That was the one thing that me and all my friends kept making jokes about it, like, whoa, this game just feels smooth. Like, I know that sounds really stupid, but honestly, it did. It really felt like, you can just basically see everything really clear as you're running. It didn't really have any type of weird shaking animation that a lot of the other games tended to have, and overall, it felt really well. Segueing into wall bouncing, well, actually, first thing, when it comes to Gears 4, I liked the movement, but it always felt, I don't know how else to describe it. It felt slow. That's the one thing I want to say. It always felt kind of slow. And this was morely like any time I play the game, whether, we're playing COD, Guardian, anything like that. And I never really liked how the running felt. It felt okay, but I always felt like the best running animation, in my opinion, was in Gears 3. Just the movement, general movement, when it came to running, taking cover, all that felt really good in Gears 3. And it always felt a little bit of a step back with Gears 4. But now with Gears 5, I feel like it's a step in the right direction. The game just feels extremely smooth. I don't know how else to describe it. Segueing into wall bouncing. Once again, smooth. That wall bouncing is amazing. I just feel like I have way more control of myself in this game than I ever had with Gears 4. Not to mention one thing I didn't even know. I wish I recorded a clip of it, but I didn't. But one thing they did differently with this game that's a lot different than any other Gears of War game is they finally made it to where if you push back in A, like to slide, to like jump backwards, if you're close to a wall, instead of jumping backwards, you actually slide now. So basically you can wall bounce backwards. So that's actually going to create a lot more opportunities in combat because now you can do this sliding backwards animation that was never in the series before. So that's really interesting. So overall, when it comes to even just sliding, canceling, wall bouncing, I've never really felt like I was out of control of myself. With Gears 4, sometimes it felt really clunky, and there was a lot of times where I would make mistakes. I would accidentally roll at a wall. I would maybe slide in the wrong direction, something like that. But when it came to Gears 5, it felt way more precise, and the fact that you can wall bounce backwards made a big difference, and I started doing that towards the end of the beta or tech test, whatever you want to call it, once I finally realized it was even an option. Not to mention also when it came to, while I was wall bouncing, blind firing the shotgun. I felt like I could do that a lot easier in this game. I don't know what it was about Gears 4. I kind of found myself morely doing pop shots rather than like trying to blind fire a lot in Gears 4. I would still blind fire, don't get me wrong. I'd always do off the wall blind fires, slide and pop a shot out, things like that. But it always felt like I always went to pop shotting a lot with Gears 4. But with Gears 5, I was basically like blind firing a lot of the time. And a lot more of the time, I guess, is what I could say. And then speaking of shooting, the next thing we could talk about is aiming. When it comes to aiming, I didn't really see too much of a difference there. I never really had too much of a problem with aiming in Gears 4. And when it comes to Gears 5, kind of just generally felt the same. Maybe you guys can give me more of an opinion on that when it comes to aiming, like maybe just aiming your lance or aiming your shotgun, aiming your pistol. All that felt generally similar. There was a few key differences though when it came to the game, when it came to certain weapons. For example, I felt like it was harder to aim the bolt hawk in Gears 5. I'm not too sure exactly why. Maybe the reticle was throwing me off or something like that. I would still get a lot of, okay headshots here and there. But when it came to Gears 4, I would tend to get a lot of headshots. And maybe just the way the gun works, maybe it's just different. I don't know exactly how to put it. But when it came to those really precise weapons like the Boltok and even the Marksa, even though the Marksa was a freaking monster in Gears 5 and the Gears 5 tech test, I always felt like I had a little trouble aiming with it, whereas in Gears 4 I didn't. So maybe it's just something I gotta get used to. I know that when it came to Gears 5, they created this new recoil-based system that you have to basically learn the feel and the movement of the gun, which is actually a lot different than Gears 4. It's not like Gears 4 where the reticle spreads and the bullets go anywhere, whereas with the Gears 5, the reticle doesn't really spread at all, and you just got to get used to how the recoil is, essentially. So maybe that's what was throwing off. Maybe once I get used to the recoil from the Boltok and the Marksa, maybe I'll feel better about that. But when it comes to aiming, didn't really feel like it was that big of a difference, or it felt like it was too bad. The recoil system definitely made a difference in that aspect, though. But I got used to it pretty quickly, so I never really had a problem with it. Very next thing I want to talk about when it comes next to aiming is actually the weapons themselves. Talking about the Lancer, Gnasher, pistol, power weapons, Scar, anything, we can possibly think of right now as I'm discussing. All the weapons felt good to me overall. I know I just discussed that the Marks and the Boltok kind of threw me off, but besides those two, Lancer felt fine. Using power weapons like Drop Shot, Gnasher, Scar. There was literally a video I made of me playing Koth just using the Scar the whole time being a troll, and that gun was amazing. The one thing that's really unique about the Scar is the reticle actually gets smaller as you shoot it instead of wider, so you're actually more kind of forced to spray the gun, which is kind of interesting. And it was a pretty cool power weapon, and I love the execution on it. But overall, when it comes to the general things on the weapons, like shooting the Lancer, using the chainsaw, using the hammer burst, torque bow, all of that felt really precise and familiar. It didn't really feel like anything was too different. And you guys let me know how you guys feel about that. Was there anything weird about the recoil system? Anything that threw you off, that felt weird, that you didn't like when it came to using the weapons? But overall, when it came to it, amazing. I liked it. And then the next thing I kind of want to talk about is something I kind of mentioned in the last video. But what I want to talk about is essentially the modes. So we got arcade mode, Koth, and escalation. So first off, when it comes to arcade mode, like I stated in the last video, pretty much the main gist of how I feel about that mode is I feel like it's a fun, quick, fast-paced mode. The only problem is the fact that you don't spawn with the Gnasher. Kind of makes the game really campy. And I feel like they should make everyone basically be able to spawn with a Gnasher like a starter weapon, and then maybe for the characters that originally had that as a weapon that you use your skulls on, change it to something else, because without everyone having a Gnasher, it makes the game really campy and kind of kills the mode a little bit for me. But besides that fact, the mode itself, the idea of the mode, is actually pretty damn fun, and I would love to play it more with my friends, especially if they had the Gnasher to it for all the characters. When it comes to King of the Hill, general, same thing like we're used to. It's King of the Hill. Mode itself was really fun. Really liked it. Really fast paced. Didn't really feel too different than any other previous Gears of War games with King of the Hill. The maps themselves were really good. I felt like the maps really flowed really well with the game. There was a few bad moments where, of course, like any Koth match, this ring would spawn in a bad spot that's extremely convenient for the other players. But overall, wasn't really like anything too crazy. But it's just Koth. And then the next thing that I really wanted to talk about is escalation. For those who don't know, I've never really been too big on the competitive scene. I don't really play escalation all that much. But when I do, it can be pretty fun, and I've won more than I've lost ever in escalation. So it's an okay mode. I've never really felt too big on it. But while playing it in Gears 5, I did like the idea that they added with the whole lives thing, because it added a lot more depth to it. And it made it feel like, should I really spawn or should I let my teammates handle it? It really added a lot to it, and it made the game kind of flow even faster for a game mode that requires 7 rounds to win, because once you're dominating and killing everybody, that game mode could end pretty damn quick. And I was really hoping we could play TDM just to try it out, but they didn't add it in the tech test, unfortunately. I believe there's a few more last things here I want to discuss, and I'll kind of go through this real quickly here, and that's the fact that when it came to the characters having emotes, still not sold on it yet. I'll be honest with you guys. I've never really liked emotes in games. I always felt like it was a little silly. But the general emotes in the game are okay. Just thumbs up, whatever, saying thank you. I know there's going to be a lot more of that once the game actually comes out, and there's going to be a lot more players doing it. I just hope to God that we don't see the characters dancing or anything weird like that, because that's just something that's totally not Gears of War. But overall, when it comes to the emotes, they're okay. I would do it from time to time just to be silly or stupid, but it's not really something I'm going to really be looking forward to. And you guys can let me know how you guys feel about that. And I guess the really last thing I just kind of want to discuss is just the overall feel of the game when it comes to maps, playing it, playing against players, and general things like that. And essentially all I really want to say is that the game is definitely a Gears of War game. And I know obviously you're thinking, okay, yeah, of course it's a Gears of War game, it's Gears 5, whatever. But there has been times in the past, like Judgment, for example, where the game didn't feel like it flowed that well. The map placement, weapons, everything just felt really bad or odd. I didn't really have anything bad to say about the maps in Gears 5. The maps were good, everything flowed well, the power weapons were set to good spots where they needed to be. There's a few things they can tweak here and there, but nothing I can really think of right now that's really necessary or crazy or really anything that would necessarily need to be addressed or anything like that when it comes to the maps themselves. So overall, the maps did definitely feel like something that could have been like in a previous Gears of War title, and we would have loved the maps. The thing that was kind of ironic is even though I felt like the map flowed a lot better, one of the maps did remind me a lot of Streets from Gears Judgment, but it didn't really have all that topsy-turvy stuff that Judgment had that made the game feel really weird. Whereas in Gears 5, it's just more flows like a standard map for the series. And then the other map, Training Grounds, liked it. Really cool general map. For some odd reason, the map kind of reminded me of Trenches for some reason. And I think the only reason why is because that main spot where the nades spawn, the underneath spot, something about that general area, the tower, everything, all that reminds me of Trenches. And I don't know why. Maybe you guys, let me know if you guys felt that way about the map. Kind of flowed that way for some reason to me. I don't know. But overall, guys, the game itself is fun, fast-paced, amazing. I freaking like it. I can't wait to play it. And I really want to make, videos and talk about the lore, the story, everything, campaign. And I'm really excited to know that this game's coming out pretty damn soon, next month. But yeah, guys, if you guys like this video, please definitely hit that like button and subscribe. And tell me what you guys think about the Gears 5 tech test and Gears 5 in general. Was there anything bad you felt about the maps? Did you feel like the weapons was anything that would throw you off for the game? Or did you genuinely like it like myself? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Take it easy, and also hit that notification bell if you guys want to be notified anytime I make a video. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see my most recent Gears of War video, hit that link on the left. If you want to see any of my other content, hit that link on the right. Thanks for watching, guys.